teacher stood before his college class. He had a container of balls. He asked the students if they felt that the container was full, and they said yes. He then decided to pour rocks into the container and asked the students if they felt the container was full, and they said yes. He then continued to pour sand in between the rocks and the balls and asked the students if they felt the container was full, and they said yes. But then he proceeded to pour soda into the spaces in between everything else. The students laughed. The teacher said, "This container represents your life. The balls are the important things in your life, like health, family, and friends. Everything else, if it were lost, if these things remained, your life would be full. The rocks are the other things, like your job, your house, and your car. The sand are the little things, the small stuff. If the sand were poured in first into the container, there would be no room for the rocks or the balls. This is the same as with your life. If you spend all of your time on the small stuff, you will have no room for the important things in your life." One student raised their hand and asked, "Well, what does the soda mean?" The teacher smiled and said, "No matter how full your life may seem, you still have room for a soda with a friend." So as you can see from this illustration, some lessons we learn in college are life lessons. College is often where we really meet negative stress. I will share with you how to combat negative stress. If we aren't mindful of keeping stress from making us unbalanced, we will suffer our very lives. With that in mind, I'd offer you my experience as a wife, a mother, a college student, and a perfectionist with a type A personality, to inform you on how to break up with your stress so that you are never, ever, ever going to get back together. You can have your container of life full of the more important things if you're aware of what stress does to your health, and that makes you add in positive to your life and keep negative out of your life. To begin our information on stress, let's see what stress does to your body. I have a graph here that you can pass around. Stress causes inflammation in your body. It causes headaches and ulcers. It causes diminished sex drive, accelerated aging, and lowered immunity. This then leads to a sedentary lifestyle. You're not sleeping. You're tired all the time. So then you go to stimulants or smoking or eating poorly. So what can we do to combat this stress? Oddly enough, adding things into our already full plate is what we should do. That is, we should add in emotional support. Spending time with friends and family is a really good idea to relieve stress, as long as it's peaceful and you're not arguing. But consider pets. They won't argue with you, and they've been known to lower blood pressure. Also, professionals have knowledge and skills, and they can be more objective than friends and family for you to talk to. Another thing to do is use a stress relief toolbox. This is something you would plan before your stress is at its worst, and you would put in ideas that would distract or alleviate stress, such as walks, journaling, massage, comedy. I'd like to demonstrate how comedy can help your mood. Can everyone see this video okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, doesn't that just put a smile on your face? And what if you started every day out like that? Wouldn't that alleviate stress? Now we need to find some time for these healthy stress relievers, right? One way to do this is to stop worrying all day long. We can make a worrying time. This is a scheduled time to worry, long before bedtime, possibly after dinner, where you would journal your worries. But before we talk about that, let's see what worrying does. For a moment, I'd like you to imagine a big hairy gorilla. Now I want you to tell yourself to stop thinking about a big hairy gorilla. Can you do it? It's nearly impossible. Well, that's because that's how worrying works. But in our journal, we can ask questions like, am I looking for the worst possible outcome and that's not real? Or is it under my control And if so, what are some concrete things I could do right now to alleviate stress? Also, this might alert us to patterns in our stress triggers so we can avoid them in the future. Once worrying takes up less time, you can take even more control by lightening your load. We can do this, especially if we have a weakness for saying yes, by learning to say no in a different way. We can say, let me think about that and get back to you. That way it gives us time to commit to really saying no to stress. Instead, I would like you to pick out a handout as you leave on stress management. And I'd like you to say yes to what you've learned today. Let me conclude by saying you decide what fills your container of life, and when you do keep stress from harming your health, you can add in positive and keep out the negative. Remember, when stress seems to be pressing in on all sides, a diamond is a piece of charcoal that handles stress exceptionally well, and you can all be diamonds.